Green Bay Packers are coming off a bye after an epic tie in Week 4. Now they get to host the Cincinnati Bengals, who are on a current 3-game losing streak with their backup quarterback, Jake Browning. My name is Tyler, here with my brother Ryan. We're going to break down this Week 6 matchup and provide our predictions at the end. So be sure to stay tuned, leave a comment, let us know who you think is going to win and why. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 8,000 subscribers by the end of the month. Let's see if we can get there, and any help's greatly appreciated. And Ryan, let's get into it here. The Packers coming
Let's
off
do it.
just an absolutely epic tie in Week 4. That's such a horrible. So it's the true statement. It was an epic game that ended in a tie. I wish the NFL would do something about this now. I feel like we shouldn't end in ties, but luckily for them, though, they had to bye, get a little bit healthier. It's going to be one of the things I was going to talk about as well. And also, too, they're going up against Cincinnati Bengals, who are just struggling. Like the Cowboys defense, they went up against a Week 4, one of the worst in the league. Probably the worst in the league might be the Cincinnati Bengals defense as
Yeah.
well. They are coming off a 37-24 loss to the Detroit Lions, who admittedly they do have really good offense, but they were able to pretty much kind of score at will and got several turnovers from Jake Browning as well. But I think for Green Bay, it's still early on in the season. They've only played 4 games. They had kind of a shocking loss to Cleveland, and then to tie Dallas, I think was a little shocking. Wasn't surprised that Dallas was able to put up a lot of points because of how effective that offense is. But I still think there's some things that they need to flesh out just strategically. But I also think, too, they need to get a little bit healthier, particularly on the offensive line. Need to see if Zach Tom and Aaron Banks can also come back as well and play. Because if this offensive line gets really healthy as well, then I really like the prospects of what this offense can be. And this is typical Green Bay Packers stuff. Typically, they're definitely second half of the year team where they really start to take off. And so
Yeah.
they're still working out the kinks. But here with Cincinnati, though, on the other side, there's a lot of kinks they got to work out. One of which is get Joe Burrow as healthy as possible as quickly as he can, because this is just not the same team. And if they're going to run out this defense every single week, they're going to need to have the best possible offense. And that's just not the case with Jake Browning. So, Ryan, I want to throw it over to you. What do you think of the Packers? What do you think were some of the things they need to focus on coming out of the bye? And what do you think Cincinnati needs to do to have a shot to win in Lambeau this week?
Yeah. I mean, focusing on Cincinnati here really fast. I do think they did some things well, especially at the end of the game. I think Detroit kind of laid off a little bit, and they were really starting to able to throw the ball down the field. And I actually think the offensive line, if you look analytically, did a decent job in pass protection specifically. And so I think that there are some things that they could potentially try to start to build on. But this is just going to be, I think, a wash year for the Bengals. I just don't know if Jake Browning, well, I know he can't, can do what Joe Burrow did last year and just lead them to just outpace teams and force teams to try to keep up. So defensively, yeah, they're struggling. They're in a bad spot. And so I think all in all, like this Bengals team, yeah, there were some positives to build on. They finally started to throw the ball down the field. But when I believe Jamar Chase led the team in tackles, uh, with 3 solo tackles, if I'm not mistaken. But uh, that's just not a good stat that you want to be having. And as far as the Packers go, they really are one of the premier teams in the league. Um, I
Real quick on that one, he was tied for third. Demetrius Knight
tied
Jr.
for
had
third.
4. Geno Stone had 4. But Jamar Chase did. I just saw it. He had 3 alongside Logan Wilson, and he was tied for third
Okay,
with 3 tackles, and BJ Hill as well too for
yeah,
solo
who
tackles.
actually left the
Solo
game with an
tackles.
injury. I'm not sure if he
Yeah,
came back in, but
yeah. Talk
uh,
about just solo tackles though.
yeah. But and so for the Bengals, that I don't know, they're just going to continue to struggle here with the Packers. Like you said, they're a second half of the season team. They haven't even really hit their stride yet. And so I feel like going into this game, this is kind of a get right game for them coming out of the bye. Defensively, I think you made the addition of Micah Parsons. This pass rush needs to step up and elevate this defense because the secondary is fine, but it's not the greatest in the NFL. And so if this pass rush can really elevate this defense and put some pressure on the quarterback, maybe make some errant throws, I think this defense could be really good. And offensively, Jordan Love looks like he's in Toyota Thon form. Um, And so I like the offensive system there that Matt LaFleur has. Josh Jacobs, Tucker Kraft, they have a great group of wide receivers. There's not one guy that's really like leading the way right now for them. And so, yeah, this is just a really good football team here with the Packers.
Yeah, no, I think focusing on the Packers here just for a second as well is I love just the receiving room that they have, and it's you talk about running back by committee. I feel like we've been saying this now. It's almost receiver by committee as well too on who's going to show up
Yeah.
and have the big game as well. Like if we go look at the receiving numbers from their Week 4 game where they threw for 337 yards, but Jacobs he led the team in receiving yards. With 4 catches for 71 yards. But if you go look at the receivers, though, right after that, 6 catches for Romeo Dobbs, 58 yards. He had 3 touchdowns. Matthew Golden had a couple of big catches. He had 5 catches for 58. Tucker Kraft has really come on strong, 5 for 56. Stephen Williams had a couple. Dontavian Wicks had a couple. Malik Heath as well too. So like there's a lot of guys that teams got to focus on. They can't really just hone in on a couple of their star players. On the flip side, the Bengals, that's where they really strive is they do have the star power when fully healthy. Chase
Hmm.
Brown, I do think, is one of the better running backs in the league. I think he's being dealt a poor hand as of right now.
Yeah.
Just with teams are going to one, they have a weak offensive line, and then and we know we can't throw. You guys can't really throw against us, so that kind of sucks for him. But then they lean heavily on Jamar Chase, and they do have Andre Yoshibas and also T Higgins as well too, as well to
Yeah.
be fair. But it's definitely more top heavy. While there's 10 guys that I feel like could go catch the ball for Green Bay on any given night. So it fits really well within their system. I think defensively, though, this is where, to your point, I think continue to keep on improving, looking to provide some pressure and get Micah Parsons used to the system. There's a lot of QB hits that the Lions had. They had 9 QB hits. I believe, if I'm reading this correctly, too, 11 pressures as well. Correct me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong on
Yeah.
that. But and they had 5 tackles for loss. So there's definitely going to be opportunities, I think, for this Green Bay Packers defense to get after them, and it's going to be at home too. I do think that they needed this bye week as well, as you talk about just to rest and just to get healthy because his offensive line can get better as well too, and help protect Jordan Love and allow them to go through those reads. I don't really see too many ways the Bengals could win this game because sure, can the Bengals go and score some touchdowns? Absolutely, but the score looked a lot closer than what the game actually was. It was 37-24 Detroit against Cincinnati, and 21 of those points for Cincinnati came in the fourth quarter, like
Yeah.
when the game was over. So I think that's where for me it's can Jake Browning go down and look good for a drive or two? Yes, but what's going to happen the other 7 drives, 10 drives?
Yeah.
That's where I think there's going to be multiple turnovers, lots of pressures, and some of it's not really all on Jake Browning. This offensive line is struggling as well too. I think maybe it's like maybe there's coaching that gets involved, and maybe we really start thinking about like
Is
blowing it
Zach
up.
Taylor the one to
Yeah,
rebuild this?
it's tough to give a good assessment of it when your star quarterback keeps getting hurt.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, too, it's this has been an issue. That has been an issue. This offensive line protecting Joe Burrow now for better part of 5 years now, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. I think
and they've made
the
some investments on the offensive line. They went out, they got Orlando Brown Jr., they drafted Amarius Mims in the first round. They Ted Karras, they signed from the Patriots. Like they've made investments in this
yeah.
O line. So I really do think like nobody's really safe. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are safe. They're going to be a Bengal in 2026, but
Well, and T Higgins, yeah,
potentially, I actually think if they could get a haul for him, like they just gave him a big contract, so that's going to limit what they could get. But if you're going to
yeah.
talk about start throwing around first round picks, I think there's potential that even T Higgins could be on the move. If that's
Maybe.
I don't think it's likely to be fair, but
Maybe. Well, we'll have to see. The ownership in Cincinnati is interesting, to say the
yeah,
least, on how they handle their player relationships as well. So uh, it's very possible to see because, like, even to one last thing I want to wrap up on before we get into predictions, even though I think it's pretty obvious whoever everybody thinks is going to win this game. But if I go look at this here for Cincinnati, let's say they lose this game, they go to 2-4. They do host Pittsburgh, so it's a division game. They host the Jets, and then they host the Bears as well. So I said Pittsburgh. I think they're going to be underdogs, but in general, they should beat the Jets. In theory, they could beat the Bears, but unlikely. Then they play the Steelers again. Then they're going to have a tough stretch of games, even though their games against the Ravens, I think, are much more compelling now but still going to be tough overall. Um, just with not having Joe Burrow back there. So it's a tough schedule overall, I think, for this team. You love to play the Browns a little bit more, but even too, then the Browns
Yeah.
defense is probably one of the best in the league. So would the Bengals be able to score against them? And so I think for predictions here for this game, sticking in week 6, I'm gonna have Green Bay winning this one here at Lambeau, coming off the bye. Bengals just haven't looked really super impressive to me, particularly
Mhm.
on the defensive side of the ball. I know everybody's talking about offensively, but defensively, this team is just atrocious. So
Yeah.
I could see Green Bay potentially putting up another 40 points, like how they did against Dallas.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with Green Bay. They're just the better team here.
Yeah,
I think this defense has a little bit of a get right game against this struggling Bengals offense, and I think similar to the Detroit game, it's just going to kind of compound on the Bengals, and then maybe they'll make a fourth quarter resurgence, I guess, and make it not look as bad on the stat sheet. But I think this will be a lopsided victory here for
yeah,
the Packers. So
yeah.
let's go ahead. Let's wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Will it be the Green Bay Packers? Will it be the Cincinnati Bengals? And then that, we'll see you guys next time.